So welcome. Today's February 1st, 2024. We hit on the first day of the month, which is great. I can't believe we're already through January. Like you were saying, that was fast. We blinked and that was over. So we'll start off with any announcements. Does anybody have any announcements for the agency this morning? Nothing online? Okay. Minutes. Did everybody have a chance to review the minutes from our last meeting?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Steve. And get a second.
Second.
Seconded by Dan. All those in favor of the approval of the meeting minutes from last month?
Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Pass. New business. Do you have anything for new business? Anyone else? Okay, very good. So we'll move on to our priority working groups. Michelle distributed the 2023 year-end report, and we'll have to get rolling on our 2024 year-end report. So at this point, Michelle, do you feel like we're in good shape with our committees, or do we need to poke the group to see who's interested for this year?
I think we're good.
We're good? Okay.
I'll work with the groups on setting up a meeting next month to do the work plan for 24.
Okay. Very good.
We need to approve that.
And when we have to make a motion to approve the 2023 year-end report. Can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Steve, thank you. Second it. I'll second.
Oh, okay.
Ani, second it. You take it, Ani. I like it. Let's use this
Thanks,
remote meeting environment. So Ani seconded. Does anybody have any comments, questions, or concerns about the report?
Thanks, Michelle, for putting it together.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. All those in favor of approval of our 2023 year-end WQMA report? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Perfect. Update from our communications and outreach group. Anything?
I don't have anything.
We need to put out a newsletter for
We'll figure out who's doing that at our meeting in February.
who's going to head up each of the quarterly things, but yeah.
Okay. Invasive species.
It's on the phone.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to report.
Okay. Okay. I don't have anything to report either on nutrient sediment. So moving along to agency reports. Ani, environmental health update.
Yeah, hi everyone. Sorry I'm remote again. I was on vacation last week and on the way home, my mom got COVID and then gave it to me. So here I am at home again. So a few things. We're actively working on gathering the list of individuals that applied for the septic grant that we denied who may now be eligible due to the rule changes. So we'll be making those contacts in the next couple weeks. So that's exciting. We'll see if anyone is interested for this upcoming season. Along the same lines, we've accepted the new round of funding from DEC with the expanded water bodies list. Next time I will bring in some maps to share to show everyone where our new water bodies are and an estimated number of homes that qualify for each water body. And then what else? I know I had something else. We are working with Stony Brook to try to find new focus areas. Eileen is working on this project because I am a little busy. So Eileen is still involved with some of this stuff. And we're thinking about Indian Cove on Owasco Lake, but we've also been reached out to by Roxy, who's online. Hi, Roxy. And might be able to find some locations on Cayuga Lake. So it doesn't have to be in Cayuga County, but we'd like to see it in Cayuga so we can keep track of the data. So we'll keep everyone apprised on that. What else do we have going on here? We have a few larger projects, septic related projects this year that are going on. And none of them are really related to any of our watersheds or water bodies, but it's kind of exciting when you are an engineer and you get to work on a little bit bigger than a little residential septic system. So I'm excited about that. We work with DEC on anything over 1,000 gallons a day of discharge. And then water body related, we have a handful of communities that we would like to work on the drinking water source protection plans. If anyone works for the municipalities related to the water bodies that draw water, excuse me, for their potable supplies, please reach out and I can get you guys in contact with the state to try to sign up for the Source Water Protection Plan program. Groundwater, surface water, whatever you want. Owasco and Auburn are both going through that process right now. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to them on how that's been going. I'm working with Cornell a little bit on their drinking water source protection plan. They draw water from Fall Creek, which actually starts at Lake Como area. So that is in Cayuga County. So I've been sort of helping them as best I can as after being slightly very limited involvement with Owasco's source water protection plan. So if anyone's interested in that, please let me know and I can connect you with the right individuals. Unfortunately, no one else from Cayuga County seems to have signed up yet, but there are dozens of other communities around the state that are looking into doing this. So what's unique is that it's groundwater as well. It's not just for surface water. So a lot more systems are able to use that service. And it's actually a really interesting process. So what else? I think that might be it. Going through my to-do list, that might be helpful. Oh, we are offering our septic inspector class next month now in March. Details to come. If you're interested in taking the class, I think it's only $75. It's a 2-day class. And you learn how to become a certified septic inspector. So if you're interested in that, please reach out to me directly and we'll get you onto our interested parties list. Just so you're aware, inspections, standard routine inspection going rate is, let's say, $80 to $100, just so you can think about the amount of money you could potentially generate from this gig. And then a property transfer inspection is usually give or take 130. So if anyone is interested in that, please let me know. I can give you the requirements. There's a little bit of background requirement in terms of education and experience. So let me know on that. And I'll probably end up just sending out the information to the whole group when we have the email and the date and the time. So everyone will be able to see that. I believe that's it. Any questions?
Oh, great update, Ani. Appreciate it. Parks Department.
Good morning, everybody. A couple updates around the county. We're very close to the setting a date for the opening of the Sterling Nature Center, so we're very excited to be moving forward on that project. We've reached substantial completion. Still working with a little bit of water system changes there. After 16 months of waiting, we got power distribution there from, that was one of the big things that I know that Seth and the city have had some challenges with major power distribution centers. It's been a challenge. Some of those seem to be clearing now, but it was, we waited 16 months to power the building basically permanently. So that's always a treat. But That project is coming along. You'll all see announcements for the opening, hopefully soon. You'll have lots of lead time, probably have 6 to 8 weeks of lead time warning on when the opening of the facility would be. I encourage you to come to that or afterwards. It's really it's a very fitting facility for the size and scope of the property that's up there. I mean, it's a beautiful piece of property, and now there's a really great building there. It has some interpretive displays in there, and really takes advantage of the site that's there. So I hope you get a chance to see that once it's open. I know that some of you got a chance to see it when we were still building, still in construction a little while ago. So it's actually a fully formed building now, which is nice to see. Yeah. Other than that, we've got a lot of stuff with Steve's teams right now, just planning for several other facilities. We did receive a grant from the Emerson Foundation to do 50% design for an amphitheater up at Owasco Lake at Emerson Park. So we're starting that process right now, as was one of the targets of the master plan for the park. We're working with the Owasco Flats. The Friends of Owasco Flats, the Owasco Flats Nature Group is renaming, so they're actually going to be the Friends Group because they've divested of all the property that they had down in the flats. So they've already raised a lot of funding to purchase and a fully ADA accessible kayak launch down there at the flats. So we're going to obviously DEC permitting. They've raised funds for it. We hope to do that this year. Permitting timelines and functions, but that'll be a really nice addition to that property. Fully accessible kayak launch down at that location. There's probably to think of right now. So,
Any questions for Doug? Comments? Mr. Lynch?
So staff is still working to get 2 local waterfront revitalization plans completed. They've been sent into the Department of State for over a year under review, and they're still reviewing it. But that'll be good news for the village of Cayuga and the combined application for Sterling and Fairhaven. Staff is completing zoning updates in Aurora. And the reason I'm mentioning that is there'll be probably some shifts on the Cayuga Lake lakefront areas of Aurora. Nothing that would really significantly impact water, but it'll be different than it is now. Most of it's institutional because most of the property under consideration is owned by the college, and the college may be shifting and selling some of that property. So we'll see what happens down there. And last but not least, and this might end up with coordination with parks and probably the city and input from you, Doug. I think you're aware of this. We're looking to try to establish another access into the Owasco Flats wetland project area. And we're thinking of trying to create an opportunity for expanding the trails around Owasco. The Owasco Flats that's up closer to the lake that comes down along and hits the river. There's a railroad berm that goes all the way down into our project site. So Doug, for you, it's like maybe coming down and looking at it and going, you're out of your mind. You'll never get the bridge in down here or anything like that. But if we could, it's really just to get access to dredge out the wetland basins. It's not to go in and construct the wetlands basin. So like maybe not as heavy a gauge bridge. We're probably going to look for CFA money for that. I don't know if we'll be looking for Parks and Trails money or whatever. So it would be good to have an alternative access for long range operations and maintenance down there. It's expensive, but Soil and Water and Parks have worked together on any number of bridges, and it's a really good team for getting these things in place if we could get to the site to put the bridge in, which is probably the biggest challenge, I think. I think he's looking at me already and going like, yeah, forget it.
just getting there.
I remember we walked into the site that way that one year, clearing everything out with chainsaws.
Yeah. So, right, I remember that. Yeah. Okay. So that's all for the department right now.
Great. Questions for Steve? All right. Evan, solid waste management programs update. We released the draft local solid waste management plan to the public on January 18th, and we're receiving public comments until March 2nd. We have 2 public meetings scheduled, one for the 13th of February and one for the 20th. The 13th is an in-person meeting at the BOCES facility, and the 20th is a virtual meeting on Zoom. Other than that, we're just planning ahead and scheduling this year's recycling events, and yeah, that's it. What are the outcomes of the solid waste management plan, and like the goals, I guess, that you're hoping to see? It's something that's required, right, by the state of New York.
Mhm.
Every county has to have one.
Yeah. So outcome is just creating an implementation plan for the solid waste management and recycling program, with the obvious goal of reducing the amount of waste going to a landfill and diverting it through our programming. And
Does the county have interest in spinning up a recycling program
So
for
I
everyone?
see where your question is going. You know, when we went to the legislature, I mean, pretty typically in Cayuga County, the towns have handled their own solid waste
Right.
programs. Some have opened transfer stations, some have closed transfer stations. The recycling market is tough, as you know.
Yeah.
The legislature really has never taken a really active role. If you look at Tompkins County, they have a department, they have a landfill, they have a municipal transfer station, and so on. If you look at Madison County, they have somewhere in between where we are and where Tompkins County is. I think the legislature is not interested in expanding into a full-blown solid waste management department or program.
Mhm.
So what we've tried to do as staff is, really looking at what the direction the legislature wants to go in is, okay, how can we enhance our recycling programs that we have? How can we put more information out for the public? Somebody that moves here, they want to go to a website and go, where do I take my stuff? So that's really, I guess, where we're at right now. In the future, if the legislature ever, had an appetite for a more robust program, we could always amend the local solid waste management plan. So, I mean, the biggest change is the city of Auburn's landfill is closed. So it would be great. I don't know, Greg, can the clean sweep ever come back to Cayuga County? Would that,
I know it's just.
I don't know.
I mean, it's like what, every 5 years it comes through like one of the counties?
Be nice to have something for larger ag tires.
Is that what the clean sweep is about? Is tire pickup? Or
No,
what
I
is
don't,
clean
I don't,
sweep?
No,
clean
it's
sweep was.
that's for agricultural chemicals.
Was chemicals, farm
Oh.
chemicals and stuff like that.
Okay.
I don't know, there's ever been a program for large, combine tractor tires and stuff like that. There's never been a program for that large
It's
stuff.
very expensive. The only place it takes them is out in Buffalo.
Yeah.
From what we've looked at.
So.
Thank you.
that's
Appreciate it.
where- Yeah.
Any other questions for Evan? All right. Cornell Cooperative Extension.
Okay. Good morning. So we're the middle of our meeting season for farmers. We have shop meeting coming up in February on farm research, something the farmers asked for. We got a lot of companies out there making all kinds of claims. This is primarily on crop related things, that it's going to increase yield or eliminate a pest. And what traditionally how this worked is before they come to market, they would try to get one of the universities to sort of verify their claim, And for various reasons, that doesn't happen as often. So farmers want to be able to set up their own research projects and see, okay, does this actually work for me on my farm? We're also working with the Pro Dairy program to set up a covered flare workshop for late March, early April. Hopefully get that in before the weather really breaks at Fessenden Farm down in King Ferry. And we're working on applying for a NOAA grant for watershed education targeting the Great Lakes Basin, which would be fantastic. Yes.
Any questions for Dan? I modified the agenda that skipped Doug, so we'll come back
Oh,
to.
not the first time I've been skipped. That's
Doug.
number two. It's Doug number 2.
So Doug number 2.
For all those years. That's
Please
Doug
stand
number
up.
1. Affectionately called Doug number 2. So for us, we have the tree sale going on right now. You have the sign out front. Feel free to stop, grab it, check it out online. Grab a hard copy if you need to out of our office. Last day to orders 4:30, and then pickup's gonna be May 10th. So try to get orders in early because we have to place orders ridiculously early, and when we run out, like even right now, if there was a run, a lot of times our like our berries and the popular stuff for like fruit and everything, a lot of times they sell out early just because people like them. So we're limited to what we can get at that time, but there's still everything's still available now. So order early if you can. And with this weather, man, it's been a great year. I know not for the skiers and the snowmobilers necessarily, but for us, we're still out in the field doing work. We just finished another 2 small stream projects that are 60 feet in length up on Northbrook in the town of Brutus from some of the damage that they got a few years ago using some FEMA dollars. We've been looking at fire lanes. You can still see a lot of stuff and do surveys. So a lot of planning going on right now for 2024 implementation. We started our 4-hour erosion and sediment control classes. So we just had our first one here in January, a couple weeks back, and then we have our next one's going to be February 20th, and then we'll have one March 19th, April 16th, and May 21st. So those 4-hour trainings are the mandatory ones for contractors that work on Speedy's permitted sites. Any contractor that's working on those has to take 4 hours worth of training every 3 years and maintain their certification. So we offer that here in this room. Engineers take it. We offer it free to highway departments and other municipalities if they want to learn about erosion and control. Some applies to them and some doesn't. That's why we just want the right information, the VMP implementation, and the right way to do it to be in the hands of the highway departments. So we do help out with that. And then good news so far in the EPF budget. There's some line items in there that we tap into. The climate resilient farming program so far remains steady at 15 million. Our ag now point source dropped a little bit, but it's still they're proposing it at 19 million. There was even a line item in there for the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition that a lot of districts just recently, 11 of us in the Eastern Finger Lakes, we've been working together for many years, so we decided to formalize our relationship a little bit more through an MOU. There's a line item in the EPF budget for that. We're optimistic that's going to go towards staff and be able to help get people on farms and help municipalities out to evaluate, say, streams, and especially lately with all the rain we've been getting, it seems like every other year, deal with drainage issues, flooding issues, both on farm and non farm. So we're excited about that. Once again, all this is subject to change, and who knows where it ends up, but to be listed in there is a good thing. Plus funding for the FLOPA is still in there, and the water quality improvement program project that's still in there as well. So some of those funds that we tap into to get BMPs on the ground is staying steady or is newly in there. So it's kind of exciting. We'll see where it ends. And then lastly, because it's our soil group worksheet season, where everybody that gets well, it depends on the towns, but people report their acreage and their soils, and they got to go through a process, and then they get a tax break on their land. The farmers will get a tax break on their land that is due March 1st. So a lot of farmers, as they're coming in, we're actually re-meeting with them for the AIM program, and I'm gaining some good AIM info from them, and assess like a needs assessment kind of on the farm. So it's good timing, and it's going really well so far with Haley focusing on that from our staff. So it's good to have a dedicated person on that. They really can see the difference. So these are going well. Questions?
I have two plugs for Doug. One, I attended it as well as did several of my staff a couple years ago. The sediment erosion control program, I highly recommend it if you really want to know what the state is looking for. It's kind of a 101. It's a great primer for anybody who's even remotely interested. And I appreciate Doug obviously putting that together. And is there a subsequent to that, or is it that it's like certification after that? There isn't. If that's a 101, I guess I'm asking, is there another training in addition to that is available? That
Only if individuals want to take it to the next level to become certified. Like a CPAS, or the New York State has their certificate program, New York State Erosion Sediment Control Certificate Program run through the districts. The state came to us years ago asking if we wanted to do. CPAS is the Certified Professional Erosion Sediment Control. It's international type certification. It works across the United States. The New York State Erosion Sediment Control Certificate Program is only in New York State, so you can't cross into Pennsylvania for those border towns or border counties. But it's a good program as well. It's a next level professional certification that allows to do the qualified inspectors. While that class is geared towards contractors to do their daily inspections. So when it's in the Speedy's permit from the state pollutant discharge elimination system for construction activity, where it mandates that contractors have to look at their site when soil disturbance is occurring in that area to make sure that they don't miss anything. So you're not just working in this area for a month and meanwhile you got all hell breaking loose behind you. That it kind of forces them to look at your site, make sure there's no problems. If you see a problem, fix the problem, identify the problem and fix the problem. And then there is weekly inspections that occur by a qualified inspector, and that's what that would be. So like I'm the CPAS, so I go out and do those inspections. I do on agricultural operations. I've done them for municipalities. So that's where we try to get involved, especially when there's a lot of eyeballs on some projects. They seem to lean on us because A, they want to make sure that things are done right, and then B, I can help stave maybe some crosstalk off if I know that it's like I'm out there every single week, maybe twice a week, even doing inspections and make sure people follow suit.
Doug, are you fully staffed up now?
We're optimistic that, well, we're short an operator right now just because he just retired in December. So we're waiting until spring and then we'll probably rehire that position. I did just ask the Civil Service Commission to create 3 new positions for conservation specialist position, because we see the writing on the wall that there's a lot of hope to get planning and implementation done in the watersheds with some of the Bond Act money and some of the other funds that the state has. So we just got 3 positions approved. I'm going to try to go to our board to fill one of those coming up in anticipation and optimism that this funding is going to come through.
Right, you just need authorization by your board.
By our board, that's correct. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that without the county support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. But we're hopeful to fill another position that's going to focus on streams now. We have 3 folks really focusing on agriculture right now, and then Tim just doing streams and overseeing the government shop. So we need to backfill his position when he took the field manager from when I bumped up to focus on streams. Permitting takes forever. It's not the easiest thing in the world. So yeah, but yeah, I don't think we'll ever be full, but yeah, we're optimistic that some of this funding that's in the budget is going to.
No, I'm glad you're getting those positions through civil service. And
Right.
What does it take, about a year before a test comes after you hire somebody?
Those tests, we asked for them 3 years ago, and they were never given. So they got that waiver kind of that says you can fill, right, where all of a sudden you don't have to finish or fill from the top 3 if the person's already working in that. Because that could be a problem, right? The test is given every, say, 4 years, And what if somebody, you hired somebody, they came in, they've been doing the job for 4 years, then they'd have to leave. They're trained, they know what's going on, they met all the people. So with that position, I'm not saying it's exempt, because eventually if a test is given, they have to take the test, but they don't have to leave their position or do it. So that just came through last year. So that was pretty optimistic. That was good news. Because as somebody who has to fill positions, you know how challenging it can be. That's for sure. Not with our civil service, they're great to work with. It's just the process in general is frustrating.
I have a quick question. How far west does the Eastern Finger Lakes Coalition go?
It goes down to Chemung County. So it covers like Cayuga Lake, Cayuga. What else is on the way? Seneca, Owasco, Cayuga. It even takes into consideration the Seneca River, Atisco, Skaneateles, Onondaga. There's 11 of the districts. So all the way down to Chemung and Schuyler, Yates, Seneca. Maine.
So Cayuga Lake then is the furthest west.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Doug?
Oh,
Go ahead.
Doug, do you guys ever run the certificate program for the erosion and sediment control? Do you ever run the 4-hour course in your office?
We run the 4-hour course for the speedy stuff through the state. We oftentimes have we will have like a refresher course that the state puts out in this area. We just did one a couple months ago. Tim Schneider oversees the training for that, and then we'll have the exam here to make somebody the certificate holder, more or less, like the CPAS type.
Do you do the initial 4-hour erosion and sediment control certificate class? I'm sorry, I didn't really follow.
We do it for contractors, yes, but for
not for CPAS.
Yeah, like it's not for like the trainers. I know for me to be a trainer, I had to go through the DEC. I haven't seen that class offered in a long time, actually.
Right.
But yeah, we do offer that class. And then the certificate program, that's run through Conservation Districts Employees Association for more information on if somebody wanted to become a certificate holder. I don't know what the formal title is. It's a lot easier to say CPASC, but the state CPASC type of person, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. If you don't mind, if you are scheduling a class in the future, if you don't mind sending me the information, just to see if it's applicable to anyone, and then I might try to get someone initially certified with the state certification versus the full-blown CPASC.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I can talk to you offline about it too.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Thanks.
Anything else for Doug? Sorry for skipping you. You got a lot of good information. City of Auburn update. One thing, if you guys are interested, next Thursday, GHD, our engineering consultant that helped us with scoping the powder activated carbon system up at our upper pump station, has done further study on the efficacy of the powder activated carbon's ability to remove microcystin at higher concentrations. Those results are in, and they'll be presenting to City Council next Thursday at 5 p.m. You don't have to go to the meeting to see the presentation, or be there right at 5 to remote in. That presentation will be on the city's website likely the next day after, if you're interested in taking a look at that. I'll also probably touch on the highlights of that presentation in March at Aula's event, the Bob Brower Scientific Symposium. We're still waiting on, I was going to ask Doug or maybe Emily, hearing whether or not we were successful in our application for the non-ag, non-point source grant opportunity. We were anticipating we'd hear by the end of the year last year, but haven't heard anything. Do you know anything on that, Emily, and when those might be?
I think I'm starting to hear from people that they're getting notification that they were awarded. So I think soon.
Okay, great. The other thing that I've been kind of poking around a little bit at the at state level is our drinking water source protection plan. Ani mentioned that she's trying to engage other municipalities around that plan and that process. The city of Auburn participated in that a couple of years ago, and that plan is still at the state level, waiting for adoption and approval. It's been over a year now, I think, since we finalized our plan locally. And I know the town of Owasco has gone through their process and is also waiting on approval at the state level. So starting to poke the bear a little bit just to kind of see what's up and why the delay and why the long delay on getting that plan finalized. The city of Auburn this year will be going through our 3 dams, State Dam, Mill Street, and North Division Street. Every 10 years, the DEC requires that we do engineering assessments that look into the structural stability of those structures. And we'll be doing all 3 of them this year. From what I can tell, they're in good condition, but you never know. I don't think they'll have to do too much in terms of boring and rock, destructive testing, but we will see on that. Last but not least, we're waiting on a finalized contract with the state for our lead service line grant that we received to complete an inventory for the city of Auburn. We're already working on that off of our tap cards. The city of Auburn, I think I've reported here before in the past, is in very good shape from a lead service line standpoint. Some municipalities for 50 to 100 years installed lead service lines from the main all the way into the house. Out of the 8,000 or so services that we have in the city, we don't have any record of a full lead service line in any of our cards. So we seem to be in really good shape, but we still need to complete the inventory. Once the inventory is completed, what I'd like to do is build that into our website with an outward-facing GIS map of sorts that you can zoom into or enter your address, and it will tell you what your service line is composed of. So that the public. We use galvanized in Auburn for the most part. And then when we stopped using galvanized pipe, we went right to copper. So galvanized is not the best because over time it fills in on itself. And a lot of older properties, even though we have great flow and pressure in the main, they don't see it in their house. It's just a trickle.
That's me.
So an investment of about $4,000 would really help you out. So,
Seth, but there's still an issue of on the main to the service line, there's sometimes a lead connection.
Yep, on all of those
on my street.
But that is not categorized as a lead service line. So it'd be about 18 inches or so. Yeah, they would use what's called a lead gooseneck to run the rigid galvanized pipe from the house out towards the main, but you're not perfectly lined up. Where copper, you can kind of bend and twist and get it to where you need it to be on the main. They would use like a short gooseneck of lead to make that final connection. So that is in all of our services, and thank you for mentioning that. But the way that EPA rolled out their lead guidance and through to the state DOH, that doesn't categorize the service as a lead service because it's such a small portion of the line. So I think that's all I have. I'm sure there's a few other things, but
Keith has a question.
Mr. Batman.
Sure, thank you. So I'm interested in this lead elbow. So I assume that that does not that does not provide sufficient contact with well, I don't know, with lead. The point is that I assume that poses no danger for lead in the actual water supply within a home.
According to the US EPA, yes, right.
Yeah.
That was the decision that they made. I will mention though, on any replacement that we do, and we try to get into areas that have galvanized services, where we eliminate them on, say, like our annual road program.
Yeah, right.
If it's an old street and we know most of those services are galvanized on that street, our water department will try to get in front of that road construction work and replace those services and eliminate all of the lead
Yeah,
in the line.
yeah. So we've never had a program that those have been any kind of residential testing of those. People have never been encouraged to test the water for lead, just to confirm that there's no problem.
No, we do. And Ani might have more information, the specifics around this, but we do test our system for lead.
At the home, okay, yeah,
Yep.
good for you, yeah. So
Keith, this
thanks.
is Natalie. Actually, the city did a comprehensive test, and I don't know how many different streets around the city, but they actually did blocks of tests in the houses after not using water all night. So they did several blocks all around the city, and I think that actually helped them determine if the goosenecks, what kind of impact the goosenecks had, and maybe find some lead services. But I think it was around 96 or 98. So it's been a while, but I think it really helped them define the scope.
And we're still doing that type of an analysis periodically. So
Yeah, I can chime in real quick. State Health Department via EPA requires every 3 years for community water systems to do lead and copper sampling. First draw samples first thing in the morning after the water has been sitting stagnant for 8+ hours or 6 to 8 hours, depending. And Auburn actually did theirs this past year, I believe in 2023. I think, 35 sampling sites or so. They're tiered. Tier 1 is known lead service. Tier 2 is houses built between a certain period of time that could be lead. And then Tier 3 is not known to be lead. Excuse me, based on house when the house was built or the structure was built. So Auburn always does a great job. Never has any exceedances. And then they're kind of not graphed, but all the values results from the sampling are laid out from least concentration to highest concentration, and then we pull out the 90th percentile, it's called, and that's kind of what the state has and EPA has determined to be a representative closest to the highest value without picking the highest value to represent the entire system. So 90th percentile is what we focus in on as our overall result for a water system. And yes, that is done every 3 years for every community water system and all the non-transient non-community water systems as well. So think about a school that has its own public water supply.
thank you, Ani. Any more questions?
I just have it's
Yeah.
not necessarily water quality related or lead related. It's more of a quantity related issue. We have no water in the building. Apparently, there's a water main break up here at the hospital, former nursing home. So we just were notified that they're shutting our water off. So if you guys have to go to the bathroom,
Don't.
please hold it for.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.
They said it might be up to a couple hours. We don't know. So just wanted to share that announcement.
Okay.
Past announcements, but since the agenda's out of whack, I just might as well follow.
We're back on track. We're back on track.
There's a question.
Okay, one more question.
Is what you
Can you
would,
see it?
but, there's no water.
What is it?
There's a question for you. Can you see it?
How is the zebra mussel control work going? Would Seth be willing to discuss with others struggling with similar intake issues? So our zebra mussel control project is complete. It's been completed now for the past couple of years. And it's working well. One issue that we identified though is the chemical that we use for zebra mussel control is chlorine, right? Sodium hypochlorite. And with the use of sodium hypochlorite, which we have to use to disinfect after our water is filtered in our system, we don't necessarily have to use that up there for zebra mussel control. One of the things we ran up against this time last year was higher levels of disinfection byproducts in our system. And as such, our operations staff identified changing that chemical there to a new system, so that we will be able to hopefully reduce the number of disinfection byproducts in our system. So the zebra mussel control system is working well, but we are currently looking at changing out the chemical that we use, that we deliver through our intake out to the intake crib to treat zebra mussels right at the intake. So I don't know if that answered your question or not, but.
Would you be willing, if I put, gave, I guess it was something I heard from Slilo Prism, the AIS coordinator, that got questions about zebra mussel control at intakes, and I'm just wondering if you'd be willing to discuss, or if you had a study or a resource I could share.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she can call, or they can call our operators at the water filtration plant to talk through that. Just about every Finger Lake that I'm aware of, or any water body that has zebra mussels within it, have some sort of a treatment system that they're using.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Ed.
Thank you for taking up all my time, Seth. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's always good to see Bruce back in the audience for his breadth and depth of knowledge. He always comes up with those zingers. The only thing we've got going on is we're waiting on the DAWSP2 as well. And Seth just poked the bear again recently, so we're hoping to get some answers soon. To answer some zebra mussel questions, we use a treatment as well at our plant, but to try to keep them off our intake, we have like a tower with vents on it, and they're actually scheduled to get scraped again this spring, and to clean them off because they just get covered. Intake gets covered with zebra mussels, so we'll be doing that. We've got scuba divers in our tanks today, cleaning the inside of our tanks. I wouldn't want to be in a tank today in this cold weather, but I guess they're dressed for it. And trying to think what else we got going on. We're going to be going out to bid in March for our sewer separation. So we're in final design phase right now. Hopefully at our February meeting next week, we'll be able to review, make some additions, corrections, go out to bid. And then when we see what the results are and see how much work we can get done to try to minimize infiltration into the treatment plant to the city of Auburn. Unless you have any questions, I'm done.
Ed, that reminds me, I heard back from the grant program, and sewer connection is not a covered option.
Makes no sense to me, but so be it.
Unfortunately, I don't make the rules.
I know. Okay.
All right. Cayuga Lake report.
Yeah, hi, this is Keith. I think Liz was correct. Is she there?
Yes, she is.
Yep.
Okay, great. In that case, given the time stuff, I'll defer to Liz, and Roxy I know is online. And so if we can combine the Cayuga Lake report with their partner reports, I think we'll save a little time, because I know the Ed is anxious about time, right? Right, Ed? So, okay, so I'll defer to Liz and Roxy.
Okay, great. I have just a few from the Cayuga Lake Watershed Network. So I've shared the special 25th anniversary edition of Network News around the tables here. I encourage folks to grab one, take a look. This is our regular newsletter, but this one has just a lot of extra info looking back at some program highlights and achievements and partnerships of the organization over the last quarter century. We are recruiting groups for our Embrace Lake litter cleanups this spring. So if you know of any groups, families, friends, clubs that would be interested in organizing something, we can provide cleanup materials and some watershed education resource materials to go along with that that connects the litter trash pickup actually to watershed health and some information about microplastics and things like that. Let's see. We have filled all of our CSLAP volunteer positions, so that's the Citizens State Lake-wide Assessment Program. We have 4 monitoring sites on Cayuga Lake, so we'll be continuing that collection for that long-term data set in collaboration with the New York State Federation of Lake Associations and the DEC this summer. Another volunteer-related announcement that's coming actually from Grayson at the Community Science Institute is that they are looking for volunteers for a precipitation monitoring program. You might have seen some of their advertisements about this, but they're especially looking for folks in the Cayuga Lake watershed or between Cayuga Lake and Owasco Lake. It's called COCO-RAS, so that's the Community Collaborative Rain, Snow, and Hail Network. And it's a national program that they've just signed up with. We're hoping to collect some better data about really localized precipitation trends. And I think that's it. One last thing is that we did partner with the Tompkins County Soil and Water Conservation District for the DEC's Aquatic Invasive Species Grant Program recently. And this isn't going to be in Cayuga County, but there is going to be a new decontamination station going in at Myers Park in Lansing, and we're going to be working with them on that and some related outreach and education. That's all for me. What about Roxy?
All right, hello. Thanks all for giving me some time on your agenda. I'll try to be quick. So we've been doing some organizational work, just like everyone else, November and January. It wasn't very exciting. We did support that Finger Lakes PFAS project proposal, like you guys did last month. We had a really good presentation from some folks at DEC about the whole water body assessment process, from the initial monitoring to 305B, 303D list, the difference between TMDLs and 90s. And as soon as I have that presentation, it'll be available. I'll let you know. I think Liz Thomas tells me that they usually actually get posted on your YouTube site because you can handle the bigger stuff. Anyway, I'll let you know. And then Isaac had some stuff here. He's trying to revive the Ulysses Ditch project and working with Covert on a rain garden. And they're still working with the town of Ithaca and the drinking water plant where I'm based on a 6 Mile Creek sediment reduction project. Any questions, feel free to reach out to him. He's working with Ian Smith on the ditch assessment project that is in both Seneca. It's in Seneca County, but it covers both Seneca Lake and Cayuga Lake watersheds. He's looking for other grant opportunities for this year. He is going to apply for grants, just with the timing of them. We don't expect to have anything for this year, but it'll be good practice. But if you have other small projects that are going on, just like this covert rain garden that came up, don't hesitate to reach out. We've set aside a little bit of funding so that we could help people move things forward. Just let him know. And he wanted to say, on behalf of FLI, thanks to everyone who attended yesterday. It was a great turnout. It was a great event. I was there. I had so much fun. So that's Ian, as Isaac's report. And then there are a couple other projects just to let you know what's happening over here. The city of Ithaca got a FEMA grant for some flood walls on some that they'll put up on streams, I guess, to protect against hurricane type flood events where they know in advance. The city of Ithaca's DWSP2 was approved last November. I'm really concerned to hear about you guys as being held up at the state level. We did get a grant to do a build-out analysis, so we're looking at our major transportation corridors. And build-out analysis usually look at transportation issues. We're going to be looking at if certain types of development happened, how would that impact water quality instead of how would it impact road congestion? And then using that information to guide where best to focus development. And we're also working on a model solar law. Bolton Point, that draws out of the southern end of Cayuga Lake for drinking water, they're moving forward on their DWSP2, and they're working with Barton Lynn DeJudas, and that's the contracting firm that helped us with ours. And just because I do work at a drinking water plant and I found the rest of that fascinating, I'll add we're looking to start our LCR sampling at schools and childcare facilities this summer because it looks like you can get credit for that effort, anything from 2021 forward. So we're hoping to spread that out so that when the rule comes into effect, we aren't cramped and having to do it in 5 years. And we may roll into that sampling some of the stuff that EPA is looking at for microbial disinfection rule updates, where we look at things related to Legionella conditions or vulnerability in large buildings at the schools. That's it for us. Thanks again. If you have any questions, let me or Isaac know.
I think I have a question. Did somebody have a question?
Yep. I had a question, Roxy. When did you submit your plan? And how long did it take you to get approval?
Well, it didn't take very long. Maybe like 4 to 6 weeks. We were pushing really. I know. I'm really surprised that it's being held up for you guys. We were pushing really hard because at the time they had a tighter time window for the support they would offer municipalities, and we were hitting the end of it, and I didn't want to lose my technical support group before we got it approved through Common Council. But you guys were on the same path I was, I believe, same year, right?
Yeah, but you're not suing the state, so.
Yeah, but you weren't suing the state then either, right?
No.
I don't know.
We had the rules and regs in place, and so there's a reason, I believe. That's my personal opinion.
They wouldn't let us add rules and regs. We actually tried to put that in our DWSP2 and we're required to take it out.
Yep.
Any other questions?
With the rainfall monitoring, have you tied into the Mesonet stations around?
No, so it's totally, this one's through the Community Science Institute, and I don't know if
New York Mesonet. We've got one right off one of our properties. And then also there's Davis Weather Link. I've got it as an app. So all the farms are required to keep precipitation data. So you just click on the app and you can search for anywhere.
Is there training that like goes along with that for quality control or?
No.
I think that's why we went with the COCO.
Okay, if you want accurate stuff, these aren't necessarily accurate because you'll get crud filling in the rain collection gauges and stuff,
Okay.
but it'll give you a general.
Yeah, it would be good,
Yeah.
at least for them to have a list of those, you know, if they wanted to.
And there's a bunch of them around.
What was the name of that?
Davis Weather Link. Gives you temperature.
Yeah.
Wind speeds.
Any other questions on the Cayuga Lake report? Okay, moving on to Duck Lake.
My next, okay.
You're next.
They're still working on the project of trying to get the private contractor to do a job on the lake for weed control. I haven't heard a word, so I want to know pretty soon myself, because I'm the one that maintains the equipment, if I'm going to be doing it. So I'll put some pressure on and make sure that they let me know what's going on. That's about it.
Good luck.
Good
Yeah,
luck.
good luck.
Right.
All right. Lake Como.
Well, we're still in the process of trying to get our wetlands permit. I have hooked up with Anthony
Giacomo.
because he's meeting with us regularly now. We're putting together, a long-range plan for Lake Como, but the last information I got from DEC, the wetlands people, is that they're putting together a template for a pesticide management, plan to do milfoil control over the next 5 years. And once it's supposed to be done any day now, and then they'll send it over to Solitude, who's going to be our contract people who are going to be doing it, so they can put it into the plan. And we're targeting to hopefully get our permits all in place by so we can do it this June, early in the year. So that's still under process. I keep bugging them, keep the pressure on them so it doesn't get lost. Some of the other issues we're looking at is beavers and the water level. I just found out 2 weeks ago that the land trust, of course they own the Dorothy McElroy bird sanctuary. It's just at the south end of Lake Como, and they used to just own down to, there's a fishing area on Lake Como Road. They own down to there, where we have a dam and the piping, to control some of the water that the beavers keep plugging up. And they just found out that they had bought a couple of years ago the land from the bird sanctuary all the way to Creech Road, which is about another mile, and they're in the process of buying from the land along the creek from Creech Road out to Route 90. And our big concern is, this time of year you can really see the creek really well. It's flood. The whole thing is flooded because there's so many beaver dams in there, and they're just going to be going. You keep going down there all the way across Creech Road. I mean, you could grow rice down in there. The water's so deep, but for hundreds of feet on both sides of the bank. So we're really concerned what that's going to do in the spring. If we get a lot of snow, we had this last thaw. The lake went up probably 5 or 6 inches. It was up onto my lawn, and it did go down after about a week. But if we get a lot of snow between now and spring, it's going to be a lot of trouble. And we're also, starting to look at with Tony, looking at getting some funding to do some analysis of the water level and where it should be. Because there's a lot of controversy with even the lake residents. There's a number of us that want it down another 10 or 12 inches. There's other people that say, no, I don't want it down. I like it at this level, because I can get my docks in and out. And I don't have all muck and everything. So it's going to be an ongoing study. I'm trying to do a study on that. And we're also going to start looking at some kind of an analysis of the water quality, because the phosphorus and clarity levels of the lake have been declining since the 1990s. And where that's coming from. We have a good idea where it's coming from, but I think we need to look into that a little more as well. That's pretty much what I've got.
Just one question on Lake Como. I guess I don't know. That's a natural lake, right?
Yeah. There's
But there is a dam or an impoundment with a water control structure?
no, the beavers control the
Just the
water.
beavers.
Just
Okay.
the beavers.
So they're in control.
It's
really hard to meet with them too, to
Yeah,
coordinate.
it's tough to get them to treat everything. And what really concerns us is that, that now from the south end of the lake all the way up to Route 90, which is probably a couple miles of creek bed, was all going to be owned by the land trust property, which they won't be able to develop it, and they won't. We've tried to get them. Can we get people to go down into the land trust in the creek and maybe trap some of the beavers to try and control some of this, and they won't let us. So,
Yeah.
I don't know what that's going to do in the future. If they keep going, they're probably going to end up in Ithaca someday.
I wonder how you study the elevation of a lake that it's just naturally created.
Well, I've been there 20 years, and when I first bought my place, I've got this metal gabions full of rock that they won't let you put in anymore from the whole lakefront property. When I bought my property, those things are about 2 feet high. I had 2 feet of dry land in front of that gabion. Now the water's over the top, is constantly at the top or over those gabions.
Okay.
So, that's a good 2 foot up. And I talked to some of the other residents who've been there forever. And, they always, they had dry land in front of their property, which is now all underwater. But you talk to some of the people, some of the people on the east side of the lake and put up what do you call it? The cement, the big cement blocks that look like rocks on the outside and drop them in to make a seawall. And there's like 2 or 3 houses over on the east side that have that. They want the water to stay up because they're up 5 feet above the water level.
Sure.
So that, they don't care how high it gets. But the people at the south end, their septics flood because the water just inundates it in the spring. So there's a constant battle. We've got to kind of find a happy medium where everybody's happy.
Good luck.
It's going to be tough. It probably won't. We'll have a war before we're done.
Okay.
The beavers are going to.
That's kind of come up recently, and I put some guidance and information from DEC in the chat if you're interested about nuisance beaver, as they call it.
Yeah, the DEC has always been great about if you call up and say the beavers are they're in front of my property tearing down trees and stuff, you can make a phone call and get a permit to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
But the stuff has got to be on your land. Our problem is the beavers are all on the land trust land, and they won't get they want everything to be natural.
Right.
And if it keeps flooding there, the whole bird sanctuary is going to be underwater anyways, because it's going to flood all of that. If they keep building the dams, I keep hoping that they'll eat all the trees and then they'll move farther downstream. It'll be somebody else's problem.
They'll just travel farther.
Yeah.
Right.
Or and the other side is and it happened before I got there. I heard about it that the beavers were the north end where the stream comes in, and they dammed it up really bad up there. So one summer they had the lake was really low because the beavers were stopping the water from coming into the lake. So we get it at both ends.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Do you have a question, Dan?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. I think we can. Nobody from Wasco Lake. Right?
I've got reports for the 2.
You do?
Yeah.
All right. Let's read them into the record.
Let's see. Okay, the Wasco Watershed Lake Association, their February 7th public forum at 7 p.m. is What Does AWLA Do? Register at awla.org. March 9th is the Bob Brower Scientific Symposium in Plain English, Our Lake, Our Legacy. Starts at 9 a.m. Registration is free, with continuing education credits being offered by the American Waterworks Association. In April, they're planning on doing in-classroom presentation to 7th graders in the Auburn Enlarged School District. They have a monthly newspaper article in the Auburn Citizen. Most recent was published this morning. And they're strategizing the rain garden expansions with key stakeholders.
Okay.
And for Skinny Atlas, Patty's.
Yeah, Patty's with us.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you. I'll try to be brief. We attended the 9-element public meeting #2 held on January 30th. There was about 70 plus attendees. We'll defer to Aaron if he's in the room. The hemlock tree protection was showcased on WCNY on January 9th on the On the Money show. I tried to throw a link in the chat to it. It's brief, but it does show us doing some treatment that we recently supported for Glen Cove Road in that stream that comes down across Carver and comes out by Sevy's Marina on private property. A whole bunch of trees were treated there with the hemlock treatment, and we're slated to support a treatment in the spring and Hooker Brook, which is in Cayuga, and it runs down to Ridings Road down to the lake at 3 Mile. The Lake Association and their colleagues will be advocating for the Environmental Protection Fund in February in Albany. The Lake Friendly Living Coalition of the Finger Lakes is coming up in February. We'll be going to that. And Dave Birchenow, which some of you might know, was previously in the FLLT, lives in Skinny Atlas. He just joined our board last month. And that's all I got. Thank you.
Aaron did send a little thing about the 90 meeting. Says we had a great meeting in Skinny Atlas on Tuesday night. Well, very well attended by the way of Zoom with a good number of people there in person as well. We talked over the results of the modeling and the implications for actions and policies in the watershed. It was a very positive, forward-looking discussion and will help us build towards planned completion in the next few months. Recording of the meeting will be on the plan's website by the end of the week.
Great.
Hey, Seth. Question. I don't know where to put it. You're probably gonna answer it. The sewer overflow that happened over there last week or earlier this week. Any updates or any information on that? It was they were servicing pumps or something and didn't turn it off. It's just on the New York alert. I didn't know.
Where was that?
Skinny Atlas.
Oh, yeah. I did see that one, but I didn't get any information on it.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
But the way it read, what I assume happened was that all pump stations come with like a remote monitoring or devices to notify if there's an issue with them. It sounded like there was some issues with that notification process. So the pump station didn't notify them that there was an issue there. So they weren't able to respond in time to.
Because the pumps were off, right? From some
Potentially, yeah. Maybe a feed went down or there was a failure in the pump somehow and they weren't working and it didn't send the notification to the operations group. That's the way it read to me.
Yeah, I have it up. There was a village power outage on the 9th and the 10th, I think, due to the windstorm. And their backup did not tell them that, SCADA didn't tell them that there was a high flow event happening.
Yeah. Okay. What's next?
I have one more from Aaron. I think he's next.
From DEC?
No, I've got Aaron.
You're still going with Aaron?
Yeah.
All right, I'm sorry.
Aaron from Regional Planning also has stormwater workshops February through May. Our office, again, working with partners across the state to present a series of workshops on stormwater management. The sessions run from 8:30 to 1 and are held on Zoom. Each class costs $175 and is worth 4 PDHs. This year's courses are focused on compliance with the state's new MS4 permit. And I have the link if anybody needs it.
Okay.
And I'll send out the links that were sent in chat and that one to everybody that was here.
Okay, thank you. I think DEC, Great Lakes Program. Emily. Oh, you're muted.
Hi, how's it going? Thanks for all of your updates. Couple things that might be of interest to the county. So DEC and the New York State Water Resources Institute at Cornell University, or WRI, are holding a series of webinars every Thursday at 2:30 on some of the projects that we funded and how it can be applied to management. And so if you want to tune in and register for that, I'll throw a link in the chat after I'm done talking. The Sustainer Great Lakes request for proposals from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation is out right now, and they are asking for pre-proposals by February 16th. And that program has supported a number of projects in New York, looking at culvert restoration and habitat restoration, coastal wetland habitat restoration, and green infrastructure projects. So, also invasive species management has also been supported. So I would encourage anyone interested in those projects to apply. And if you'd like to discuss any of your project ideas, I'm happy to chat with you and talk about how it advances goals of New York's Great Lakes Action Agenda. And speaking of New York's Great Lakes Action Agenda, our Southeast Subbasin Work Group meetings is going to be planned for the spring. We had an engagement survey that identified that biannual meetings are preferable, with the hybrid option to join remotely as well as in person. So we still have that survey open. If you feel strongly you'd like to help encourage another frequency or process. And then we're also kind of collecting this information on technical assistance providers and technical assistance support needs so that we can help facilitate collaboration. So we plan to share that information with the work groups and promote those connections. So I'll throw a link to that survey in the chat if anybody is interested. And we also have DEC draft bridge and culvert guidance available related to culvert enhancement work and bridges. And we encourage those who are involved with those types of projects to share any feedback they have on the draft guidance. Public comments are being accepted through February 9th. Throw that in the chat. And then that's all I have for you right now. Let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? Okay.
I've got the prism if they're next.
You have a prism? You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm everybody today.
All right, good. Lots of hats.
Prism. Okay, the Finger Lakes Prism, they're hiring for 4 seasonal positions: terrestrial invasive species technician, aquatic invasive species technician, giant hogweed technician, and watercraft steward. Jobs should be posted mid-January. Job appointments will start between April and June and will end from August through October. And they're co-hosting an event with the Finger Lakes Land Trust on March 5th. Dan Egan webinar speaking about phosphorus and the health of the Finger Lakes. Registration is free at flt.org. And I may have sent that out. I don't know if anybody's seen that.
Did you just send it out today?
I've seen it, but I can't remember if I forwarded it or not. If I find it again, I'll send it on again.
Okay. Do you have any other written reports for us today?
No.
Nothing from the Management Council?
No.
partners for healthy watersheds. Greg?
Not a huge amount. I'm still working on the Manure Expo, which the partners are, and that's pretty calm. Calm before the storm.
Yeah, I was curious if that's something that we should be interested in attending and setting up at.
So there's talks. Might know more about it.
So the target audience for this really farmers, agricultural professionals, university and extension faculty that are involved in that space. We're working as or the committee's working on ways to engage the public, but that's still in the early stages of how that's gonna happen.
Yeah, because we'd definitely love to have public involved for sure, but I don't know. Sounds like they have not done that.
Right, they have not done that in other locations.
Okay.
So
I wonder if it would, just as an idea, this agency, I think a number of years ago before I was overly involved, issued some manure management guidelines that the county then adopted. Would it be worth obtaining, going through them, like offering some sort of a discussion at this event where you kind of go through those guidelines and then look for feedback and potential for revision to make them more pertinent or update them in any way?
We've been requested to update them from Soil and Water.
I wonder if that might be a good opportunity to engage the full gamut of stakeholders and the experts in that
yeah,
field.
a lot of this stuff I think could be done separately from the Manure Expo. But,
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's in the plan, the 9E plan.
Yeah.
So maybe that might be something for the nutrient and sediment group to, like a big project, or at least, or maybe form another working group.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jason's interested in being part of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how that would
Play in. I don't know the format at all,
Yeah,
but
based on what I know, that I don't, something like that, I don't.
some more equipment and technology.
Yeah, so it's gonna be.
It's like a farm show.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Okay.
demonstration.
More focused in on manure side. Okay. So I can bring my restore tractor down.
That's right.
Perfect. Should be ready by then. It better be. All right. Anything else from the group? Get a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All right. Let's
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.